So I was watching the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, and during the beginning, I was confused as they told a new version of his origin story, how he was apparently mentored by an owl named Longclaw. I was deeply confused. Who the hell is Longclaw? How dare Sony Pictures mess with the legendary fabled Sonic canon and twist the Sonic mythos for their own selfish gains? Because we all know that Sonic's true origin story is... Then it hit me. What was Sonic's origin story? Did he even have one? Some kind of background? What was the true essence of Sonic as a character that's existed for nearly 30 years? Was I overthinking things? Shouldn't a character that's been in the gaming and pop cultural consciousness have some kind of defined background or origin story? But he really doesn't. There's just nothing there. It's all hollow. And as I stared into the blank, prickly soul of the blue hedgehog with his two eyes that are actually one, there was nothing staring back. Just an endless black void of nothing. This creature has no soul, no purpose, and it began to dawn on me on how truly terrifying Sonic the Hedgehog really is. You gotta love to be God back yet. Sonic is a bit of an interesting beast as far as the world of gaming is concerned. Of course, many remember the playground rivalries of Sega versus Nintendo with their respective mascot characters. But that was a different time when gaming consoles were still expected to have mascots, an era that has been effectively dead and buried in our new current era of live service games, loot boxes, and DLC. But the thing is, Mario still stands. He manages to endure because Nintendo has largely been much more careful in how he's used. When there's a new mainline Mario platforming game, it's an event, while Sonic has tried everything to stay relevant, but that comes back to the core of his creation. Sonic was never a character who was built around gameplay function like Mario. He was always designed as a marketing gimmick. Created under the auspices of replacing Sega's first failed mascot, Alex the Kid, Sonic was commissioned to be developed in-house to create a character as iconic as Mickey Mouse, something that would help give them the edge against Nintendo. Sega's positioning was to be the edgy 90s kid to the more stuffy and straight-laced Nintendo. They were going to be the Burger King Kids Club Kid Vid to McDonald's Ronald. And they pushed this marketing gimmick of speed, given that the Genesis had a 7.67 Hz CPU speed compared to the SNES's 2.68 Hz. Although if you look at all the specs, the SNES easily outpaced the Genesis in just about every other category. But this one tiny edge was enough for Sega to latch on to the made-up buzzword of blast processing as a way to differentiate themselves from Nintendo. And you can see it in the many infamous commercials from that era.
Sega Genesis has blast processing. Super Nintendo doesn't. So what's blast processing do? What if you don't have blast processing?
Check this out, brand new 16-bit Super Nintendo is Super Mario World. Wow!
What's this one?
Oh, this is a Sonic the Hedgehog from Sega Genesis. Hey, look at these radical colors, huh?
Wow, Sonic's fast, too.
No, over here.
I like Genesis, and it costs a lot less.
Wait, kid, that game
I'll
there.
take Sonic and Genesis.
Stokes, president of HAG.
It's bad enough that Sega Genesis has the most 16-bit games, but this new Sonic the Hedgehog, oh, he really doth my doilies. They say he's incredibly fast. Well, what's the hurry, mister? Why can't it be more like that nice boy Mario? Oh! Little brat!
Sega does what Nintendo don't, right? And for a time it worked. The bundling of the original Sonic the Hedgehog game caused the console's popularity to skyrocket. From October to December of 1991, the Genesis outsold the SNES by a factor of 2 to 1. For a brief period of time at its peak, Sega controlled 65% of the console market. Sonic inspired a legion of imitators in the Animals with Attitude mascot subgenre with Bubsy the Cat, Arrow the Acrobat, James Pond, Earthworm Jim, Zero the Kamikaze Squirrel, Radical Rex, Gex, and Crash Bandicoot. And unlike Nintendo, who learned a very harsh lesson after the infamous Super Mario film and kept the rights to their creations under a very tight lock and key, Sega didn't care. They wanted Sonic to be everywhere so anyone and everyone could get the rights to the Sonic license. So they had several animated Sonic TV series of various tones, from the original more comically focused Looney Tunes-esque Sonic cartoon to the dark and grimy but fondly remembered Sad AM Sonic, where he became the leader of a group of teenage freedom fighters. And then there was of course the Sonic Underground TV show, where he battled robots with the power of radical musical numbers, along with two siblings who no one talks about anymore.
Bide your time, lie in wait, Sonic Underground, Sonic Underground. They made a vow their mother will be found.
Not to mention all the toys, comics, ice cream pops, Sonic was completely inescapable, but it was this lack of quality control that ultimately caused a huge identity crisis. With a disparate fanbase scattered throughout so many different versions of the character, is there any kind of unified real canon? What is the real Sonic? Is it the video game version that doesn't talk? Is it the chili dog munching Jaleel White cartoon that warns kids not to smoke?
Smoking is for dumbbots. It's bad for your health, and it stains your teeth, so don't be a fool. Smoking isn't cool.
While also teaching them about non-traditional family relationships?
You're my mom, you're my dad, and you're my picket fence.
Whoa! You're not gonna use the L word, are you?
Well...
Then I will, cause it's a great word. I love you, little bro.
There's not much of a canon to Mario, but every main element of him is always derived from the core series of games. Whether it's Yoshi the Dinosaur, the Flood Pack, or even most recently Cappy the Cap, each of those elements always serves as some sort of core gameplay function that then finds itself in other mediums the character is featured in, and it's a strict quality control that means you can walk out in public with a Mario t-shirt and not feel horribly humiliated. He's like Mickey Mouse in that he's an indelible icon that's accepted by the mainstream and appropriate for all ages, but Sonic is like an eternal Poochie the dog, the infamous parody character featured on The Simpsons to help boost the ratings of the Itchy and Scratchy show.
Okay, how many of you kids would like
Sonic the Hedgehog
to deal with real-life problems like the ones you face every day?
Are we gonna get there?
We will get there when we get there.
And who would like to see
Sonic the Hedgehog
them do just the opposite, getting into far-out situations involving robots and magic powers? So you want a realistic, down-to-earth show that's completely off the wall and swarming with magic robots.
Good. And also, you should win things by watching.
He's a relic that's always trying to fit in with the now to be relevant to the generation of today, but because he's a character who's always following trends of gaming or trends of pop culture, he doesn't have any sort of identity of his own. You can find Sonic the Hedgehog everywhere, but he is nothing, just an empty, hollow hole of a character design. And even in the early Sonic games, you can see that as well. He's a character who's designed to go as fast as possible, but in the Sonic games, you're always meeting obstacles and hazards that constantly get in the way of the action, and literally penalizing you for going fast and doing what the game's advertised to do. Hell, most of the original Sonic games feature very slow, lengthy sections that move at a snail's pace. I think nothing is more emblematic of this than the 3D era of Sonic the Hedgehog that tried to go big in terms of creating some kind of anime epic with the Sonic mythos and introducing more characters than ever before, especially in the Sonic Adventure series. But honestly, does anyone like or remember any of the Sonic supporting cast? Any fans of Amy Rose or Biggs the Cat or E102 Gamma? Or how about Jet the Hawks or the Babylon Rogues? I could go on forever talking about the extended number of characters from the various Sonic canons, but none of them stick. They all look like animals with attitudes that are trying far too hard to be cool. The fact that there was no mainline Sonic game for the 32 or 64-bit generation, while Sega continued to flounder into the final Dreamcast era with Sonic Adventure, which was just a smorgasbord of try-hard late 90s edge combined with anime-style storytelling and throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks. But even going Super Saiyan to the 90s power ballad of Live and Learn wasn't enough, and Sonic Adventure has aged much more poorly than Mario 64 or even Mario Sunshine. The lesson was never learned. Sonic would continue to chase trends. Ooh, Sonic's not edgy enough? How about Shadow the Hedgehog? You know he means business because he's got guns. There's absolutely nothing Sonic does in the present that will not become something cringy 2 years after the fact. He's an eternal Poochie, or like the famous Steve Buscemi clip from 30 Rock.
How do you do, fellow kids?
What?
Always trying to be relevant and cool with the kids of today, but failing miserably, because truly enduring icons don't chase trends, they make them. That's why Mario Odyssey was celebrated, but each new Sonic release has largely received groans or been ignored by the larger gaming populace, and Sonic has tried everything to be relevant. He's become a knight, a werehog, he's gone to the Arabian Nights, been in a BioWare RPG, a fighting game, a racer. He's even tried to wear a hipster scarf, but even that didn't work. And the funny thing about Sonic Boom games is they were designed to be a rebirth for Sonic, but they too were based on focus testing research about how people said that they thought Sonic games were too fast and the pace should be slowed down. Yes, an entire failed game series and TV show were created from the fact that focus groups didn't like the only thing that defined Sonic.
You kids don't know what you want. That's why you're still kids, 'cause you're stupid.
Sonic has tried anything and everything, but nothing ever seems to really stick. because nobody even knows what they want out of a good Sonic anything. I was so surprised about the initial backlash against the movie. Sure, the design was bad, but was anyone really that invested in anything that Sonic does anymore to feel like their childhoods have been ruined? And that's where you get into the true horror of Sonic, the fact that he's always racing forward, always running in a loop, speeding ahead, but ultimately getting nowhere. Because he's always running towards the next thing, which means he can never stay in place or stand firm like Mario has managed to for the past few decades and remain relevant. He will always be a Poochie, trying to remain cool, hip, in the now, but because he's always trying to be cool and relevant, he will always be instantly dated and irrelevant and ultimately forgotten. You could say that about gaming as a whole. Most of the best gaming franchises have endured or grown aren't the ones made by committee or forged through focus testing. They're franchises that were created by passionate people building characters and worlds to suit their gameplay mechanics. It's why there's practically no more licensed games in the AAA development space, because gaming has grown into more than just a toy or a gimmick. And that's the core problem with Sonic. He was built from the ground up as nothing more than a gimmick, and because of that, he has no real core identity. But despite that he endures, there's something about him that always manages to attract a weird cross-section of furries and weebs, and just sticks into the internet like a malignant tumor that will never disappear. In many respects, he's kind of like Shrek, which was made as the sort of anti-Disney, edgy CGI cartoon, but because it was supposed to be the counterculture anti-Disney programming, it's aged terribly. But because it's aged terribly, Shrek has become a deranged mascot of cringe culture, much like how Sonic will never seem to go away. Just like how you can type in whatever your name is and add the Hedgehog and see what kind of weird OC character comes up. Wonder if I type in Lobster the Hedgehog if I'll find anything. God damn it! Thanks so much for watching this video. Super appreciated. Hope this keeps you entertained over the very, very long quarantine that everyone's going to be stuck in for a little while. So appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed this little look at good old Sonic the Hedgehog. I'd love to give a special thank you towards my wonderful patrons, Aaron Tony the Hedgehog, Carla Hoffman the Hedgehog, Joseph Malty the Hedgehog, and Walking the Steps the Hedgehog. Thank you for being my patrons, especially now with the disastrous hit that we're probably all going to have to endure with the economy. So thank you so much. This is the part where I try and pitch you on joining them to become a part of the Lobster Pot, but at this point, I'm just happy for the people who are still sticking with me, given the uncertain hardships that are coming up in the not-too-distant future. So thank you so much for supporting my content and keeping the dream alive. And if any of you are interested, because we have all so much spare time now, I've started doing a live stream podcast called The Rambling Ranting Review Hour with my buddies whenever I drag them in to talk about stuff that we're watching. So come on in, say hello during a live stream, and I'll also be posting saved archived episodes up on my second channel. So if you want to catch a broadcast that you missed, you can go on over there. I'll include a link to that at the end of this video. So come on over there and kill some time to try and prevent yourself from going stir crazy. Because at this point, you need as many voices as you can to simulate social contact while you're social distancing. So hope to see you over there. And let me know in the comments below. I'm going to ask a few informal questions in the community tab of this channel about when the best time to try and run these live streams are, because it's definitely something I'm kind of new to and I want to keep on experimenting with and getting better. So let me know what time is generally the best to try and run these things and when would be best for you. Since we've all got a lot of spare time, let's try and kill that time together as we keep ourselves isolated from the rest of public society and also keep ourselves sane. So thank you for watching this video, and remember, lobster's antennas, but don't you grab it.